Hi everyone. I think we are in week 5 or week 6 of lockdown. Anyway, my thoughts for today are centred around the idea of physical and psychological rehabilitation. While we're in lockdown, we might consider it as an overall opportunity to rehabilitate ourselves as though we were injured. For some, it really does feel similar to being injured. So, applying some of the same processes now that you might use after actual illness or injury seems like it might be a good use of your time. Always after injury, you want to come back a better athlete, better than when you were injured, and even better than when you weren't injured or before you were injured. It's an incredible opportunity to learn about your physical and psychological abilities. Thankfully, for most, we aren't actually injured just now, so we haven't suffered the confidence sapping or debilitating effects of a trauma or illness. Now, this means that we can make well planned progress with strength, stability, range of motion, maybe technical skills, psychological skills, even something like using your IT or your digital equipment more effectively. And you can maintain attention to detail that you might not previously felt you had time for. Now, from that list that I've just mentioned, it's important that you only choose one area to focus on. If you were injured or you were ill, you wouldn't begin with a huge list of items to work on. You'd work specifically on rehabilitation of the area that was affected. You can build confidence in your performance by understanding more about the area you've chosen. As an example, and it's a good one for just now, if you asked yourself, will I come back to swimming after lockdown and still be able to swim the same times? Let's consider the context. What has happened that's caused this doubt in your performance? Well, fairly obviously, in this case, we can't get access to pools. So, given that this is a global issue and it's not specific to you, don't stress too much about losing fitness. What do you know about your current performance and skill level? What can you practice that will keep your physical base in essentially good shape? What can you practice that will improve your knowledge and understanding of swimming? And who are you talking to about your swimming? Are you understanding what you're reading, viewing, or listening to? And have you asked your coaches about what advice is good? How can you reaffirm yourself that you will be okay when lockdown is lifted? A lot of the answers to these questions are about you and about believing that your current position is what it is and that you have a good base from which to improve. Try not to visualise or imagine yourself as being something better or worse than you currently are. You have all received great coaching at GTC sessions and you can all swim. Training to gain fitness for speed is something that we can all work on when we get back to the pool, and it is determined by how much fatigue you suffer, and it always requires active and recovery phases to create adaptation. Now, your coaches will bring this back to your training when you're back in the pool, and that's a given. That's going to happen for sure. As an example of a fairly practical approach to improving your swimming during lockdown, consider movement patterns. Now, imagery works well for this, and we spoke about that last week. Think about some of the tips that your coaches have spoken to you about. Standing in front of a mirror can help with this so that you can check on the details. For example, is my hand entry in line with my shoulders? Often when we carry out these movements without checking them, our proprioception of where our limbs are relative to our centre line and the space around us is a bit skewed. Now, that's just one example. I think in essence, all I'm trying to say here is that we have an opportunity here to get better at things that we hadn't considered before. And who wouldn't want to come back a better athlete given the chance? Thanks again, and I hope you are managing to stay sane and fit during lockdown.